Welcome to the regular meeting of the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners. Good to have a good crowd with us here in the Commissioners' meeting room. The Commissioners are here, and all smiles and ready to rock and roll with a pretty good meeting. And we'll turn the meeting now over to our Vice Chairman, Don Martin. Don?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome to everyone to our regular October 13th, 2022 meeting. I do want to take a moment to welcome Rosalind Covington, who is here. She is our assistant clerk, and basically, maybe it's deputy clerk, I think is what it is, but I'm really pleased she's here. Our clerk is out of town, and I appreciate her standing in and serving as our clerk today. We're going to begin our meeting today with a moment of silence, and we're going to follow that with a Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Linville. And if you would, please stand, observe a moment of silence, and Commissioner Linville will follow that. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We were going to begin our meeting. I want to mention that citizens who are interested in participating in the public session portion of the meeting, you can do so here in person, of course, and in fact, you do that with a card that are available outside the door. If you have not completed one, you can actually do so and give it to Rosalind. And if anyone wants to actually communicate by telephone, you simply need to call 336-422-1200. That number again is 336-422-1200. We're going to begin our meeting as we have for now 2.5 years. Joshua Swift our public health director is actually going to give us a COVID-19 update. Thank you for being here, Joshua.
Hey, good afternoon, commissioners.
Afternoon.
Okay. So just a brief update today. You can see our numbers for the 13th. Over the last 2 weeks, our cases have decreased almost by half, 46%. We have 26 residents, Forsyth County residents, who are in Forsyth County hospitals with COVID-19. Next slide, please. Lab confirmed cases. You can see our numbers. We are now below 400 for the first time since mid-April for lab confirmed cases. This does not include at-home cases, and you can see this snapshot over the last 8 months. Next slide, please. New boosters. We do have the new bivalent booster. It's available to anyone fully vaccinated. They're eligible. Actually, we've just got word in the last day or so that now anyone 5 and over is eligible for those boosters. We do have Moderna and Pfizer available, but appointments are encouraged due to the limited supply. We have seen an increased demand. It's picked up for people coming to get those vaccines, and you can get you can see the number 703-3100. And it's interesting now to see people that are coming back. We have some people in our population. This is the 5th time they've come to the health department, and they're like, we're sticking with the health department. We're coming by, and it's really appreciate the staff who've worked. And I will just give a shout out. And I told the staff, we had the state health director, Dr. Betsy Tilson. She reached out to me Friday before last, and I was like, okay, this is never good on a Friday evening when the state health director. She said, I got some bragging to do. I was like, okay. So she texted me and said her sister, who lives locally, came by and had waited to intentionally come to the health department, not to go to CVS, not to go to Walgreens or another pharmacy, but came by. So I appreciate the work that the group is doing, the team, to keep us organized and on track. So next slide, please. Rosalind, so we have COVID and flu vaccine available at the same time at the Department of Public Health. You can see the hours there, 5 days a week. And the next slide, I have 2 more slides. We'll be going into the community on this Saturday, October 15th at the city's Ribbon Cutting and Healthy Community Festival at the Hydroponic Farm at Kimberly Park. So we'll be there. And then last, just a note, as I say each week, what the community can do. Make sure you're up to date on your boosters. Get your at-home test kit. Those are available at all 10 branches of the library, health department here at the government center. And if you choose, you can wear a mask indoors for added protection. But especially it would be encouraged if you're on a plane or in a really tight space. So I'll be happy to take any questions.
What if you have people over 70, 75, something in that neighborhood, and they've had their 2 shots plus a booster, and that happened 2 or 3 months ago? Do they still need to get a booster, or could they get a booster, or would it be wise to get a booster?
Yes, yes, and yes. They can get they can get the booster. The new booster that's come out is the bivalent booster, so it covers both the original strain plus Omicron.
Thank you.
I had one question, Josh. First, thanks for the report. I saw a little blurb on the news about our status as a county in terms of COVID-19 status being reduced from high to another level. Could you comment on our new status, please?
Yes, we are now at the medium status. So, some of the relaxed standards there, that's per the CDC. So a lot of times that's often, I believe, a lagging indicator. It looks at our hospitalizations as well as our number of cases and our percent positivity. So as you can see, our number of cases have gone down. Hospitalizations have stayed relatively low in the 20s. And then our percent positivity is now around 12, 13%. So much better situation, and hopeful as we go into this fall that it will keep stay at a low level.
Thank you, Josh.
Joshua, I just have a question too. I wanted to also comment. Thank you for all that you do. I have my newest grandbaby, but I needed to know how old do they start giving the boosters for the children?
So the boosters, this newest booster is available for 5 years of age and older. If they haven't had a shot at all, it's up 6 months of age. They can get their first vaccine.
6 months?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. All right, then. We'll do that. Thank you so very much.
And I would encourage you and thank you. One, congratulations.
Thank you.
But also, I think it's important, even if you have a young one who is not eligible because they're too young, or someone because of their immune system, for some reason they can't get it, the same message that public health has said for decades about the flu vaccine and COVID, by getting others around them vaccinated, that's that protection from others.
She's 22 months, and she's just got over COVID, so we wanted to just make sure that she's ready for that.
Okay.
She forgot to ask the doctor, so I told her I asked you today. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Joshua, we appreciate all the work that all you and your staff do, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. The first item on our agenda today is a resolution in support of the designation of U.S. Highway 421 in Wilkes, Yadkin, and Forsyth counties as a future interstate corridor. And Commissioner Fleming Elamine is going to read the resolution, and Kyle Haney, if you would please come forward to receive the resolution, and anyone else that you would like to ask to come with you. See Mark Owens, good, come on up, great. Commissioner Fleming Elamine.
Resolution to support the designation of U.S. Highway 421 in Wilkes, Yadkin, and Forsyth counties as a future interstate corridor. Whereas U.S. Highway 421 is a freeway in Wilkes, Yadkin, and Forsyth counties in the Piedmont Triad Carolina Core region of North Carolina. Whereas U.S. Highway 421 in this area connects Interstate 40 and Interstate 77, and these two major interstates and their continued operations are critical to the state's and nation's economic and transportation well-being. Whereas designating this segment of U.S. Highway 421 as a future interstate is a clarification and logical extension of the congressionally adopted 2021 legislation that designated a segment of U.S. Highway 421 as a future interstate in the Piedmont Triad Carolina Cross Core counties of Guilford, Randolph, Chatham, Lee, and Harnett. Whereas U.S. Highway 421 is the spine of the Piedmont Triad Carolina Core, a 17-county region with a population of more than 2.4 million people. Whereas the region's growth continues, adding thousands of vehicles to the current infrastructure. Whereas Piedmont Triad Carolina Core job creation announcements total more than 18,000 new office industrial jobs from January 2021 through June 2022. And an interstate designation for this highway would provide an important link for workers commuting to jobs in the region's urban core of Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and High Point. Whereas additional justification for such an interstate designation include improving the movement of freight traffic, providing better travel time reliability, allowing a good alternate route of an incident occurring on I-40, I-77, or future I-74, and providing a high design evacuation route, in the event of natural disasters. Whereas the upgrade to interstate status for U.S. Highway 421 in these 3 counties would increase safety, mobility, and economic development. And whereas the North Carolina Department of Transportation supports the local government's efforts pursuing future interstate designation through North Carolina's congressional delegation. Now therefore be it resolved that the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners thereby supports the effort to designate U.S. Highway 421 in Wilkes, Yadkin, and Forsyth counties as a future interstate, and asks that the U.S. Congressional designate this segment as part of the nation's high priority corridors on the national highway system, adopted this 13th day of October 2022. I would like to move that we adopt this resolution.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Kyle, thank you. And the resolution is right
Commissioners,
there.
and Lauren Hill, who really kind of shepherded this, was not able to attend today. Mark Owens from the Chamber did attend at his request, so.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the Commission, thank you so much for supporting this. This is a big deal for our region as we look forward to future transportation, as the resolution so read. So on behalf of the Piedmont Triad Partnership, Carolina Corps, and of course, Greater Winston-Salem Inc., thank you for your support.
Thank you all. Second item on the agenda is a resolution recognizing October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month and recognizing the efforts of Bridges to Hope Family Justice Center of Forsyth County. And I'd like to invite Dewana Hamlin, who is the director of the Family Justice Center, and also any of the other partners who are in attendance to please join her at the podium. And Commissioner Tanya McDaniel is going to read the resolution, and she'll wait for you all to gather at the podium. Thank you all for coming. Big group.
Yeah. Have you made motel reservations to stay?
All the support behind me. Thank you, Chairman. I'll be reading the resolution recognizing October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month and recognizing the efforts of Bridges to Hope Family Justice Center. Whereas October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and domestic violence affects all people regardless of age, sex, gender, race, ethnicity, ability, religion, and socioeconomic background in Forsyth County. Whereas domestic violence, a form of interpersonal violence, consists of a pattern of learned behavior resulting in the use of power, the control of one person over a partner, and/or other family members. Whereas tactics may include physical, emotional, psychological, sexual, and financial abuse, and isolation from family, friends, and support systems. Whereas children who witness or are victims of emotional, physical, or sexual abuse are at higher risk for physical and mental health problems as adults. Whereas the North Carolina Coalition Against Domestic Violence identifies 63 domestic violence-related homicides in North Carolina during 2021 and 28 homicides from January through August 19, 2022, ranging from ages 8 months to 79 years. Whereas 1,129 complaints were filed for the emergency ex parte domestic violence protection orders, 535 calls were made to the Family Services Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Crisis Line. The Forsyth County District Attorney's Office disposed of 2,847 domestic violence criminal cases, 74% Winston-Salem Police Department cases, and 26 of the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office and Kernersville Police Department cases combined. Winston-Salem Police Department reported 5,032 domestic violence incidents, 281 domestic violence protective order violations, and 1 domestic-related homicide. And Forsyth County Sheriff's Office reported 2,512 offenses flagged for domestic violence, serving 608 domestic violence patients. And whereas Bridges to Hope Family Justice Center of Forsyth County offers services to survivors at no cost in one location impacted by domestic violence, sexual assault, child maltreatment, elder abuse, and human trafficking in a hope-centered, kind-hearted, trauma-informed space on the Health and Human Services campus by the committed and engaged partners on site, including a bed and a book, the Children's Law Center of Central North Carolina, Family Services Incorporated, and the Office of the Forsyth County Clerk of Court, Forsyth County Health and Human Services Department, the Forsyth County Attorney's Office, Forsyth County Sheriff's Office, the Human Relations DEA Department, City of Winston-Salem, Kernersville Police Department, Legal Aid of North Carolina Department of Public Health, Adult Correction, and the Parenting Path, Winston-Salem Police Department, and World Relief. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners challenges all the Forsyth County communities to explore, create, and produce collaborative solutions for prevention, intervention, and sustainability outcomes for families experiencing domestic violence, adopted this 13th day of October 2022. Rest peacefully, Mother. And Dawana, I'll hand it over back to our Chairman.
Second
Vice
that
Chairman.
motion, any discussion?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll keep my comments brief. Commissioners, elected officials, county managers, county colleagues, and survivors present. Thank you for recognizing Domestic Violence Awareness Month and the collaborative work of many community organizations represented here today, as you can see behind me. We also stand in unity in recognition of lives lost and changed due to domestic violence and the effects on children, families, and communities. Bridges to Hope Family Justice Center is a safe place where those impacted can receive assistance in one location at no cost in a trauma-responsive atmosphere without retelling their stories, where providers can coordinate safety for high-risk cases and also have a hearing on site with a district court judge for an emergency 50B protective order. They also experience survivor-centered, hope-filled, positive regard. I salute every organization represented here today and those who make the center possible every day. Thank you so much for your support, your encouragement, and your assistance.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A lot of great partners. I do see Jim O'Neill in the back, and I know he's spoken to us a few times about this issue, and maybe you'd like to say a special thanks to the partners that are working with you too.
Absolutely, and thank you, Commissioner Martin, for giving me a moment. This project started 25-plus years ago, in my first year in the district attorney's office, and to see where it has grown is unbelievable. And as I said last time I was here, you have taken over the financial responsibility to keep this running, so we're not having to apply for grants and begging for federal dollars year in and year out. What you do here saves lives and impacts this community in ways that you don't get to see every single day. But Dawana and her team have done an outstanding job. I want to particularly recognize Commissioner Kaplan, Commissioner Fleming-Alameen. I thank you both for your commitment to this project over the years. Grateful for what you've done for the people in this community and your service to your brothers and sisters out here. Thank you both for what you've done. And Chantel Robinson, Chantel put this all together. Wherever Chantel is. Hi, Chantel. Sorry, Chantel. But she really has done a wonderful job getting the partners to collaborate on this, so thank you. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you and remind you have the best county manager in the state of North Carolina. So thank you all for your continued support of this program and the dollars that you have given over the years, because you are actually, this is your program, it's not ours, it's your program. Thank you for what you've done to help save lives here. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank all of you. Todd, did you get all the pictures that you want to get there? Good, thank you. The next item on the agenda is approval of minutes for the meeting of September 22nd, 2022. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion from Chairman Plyler, second.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Elamine. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Madam Clerk, do we have any calls, by the way, on any folks online and any cards?
Mr. Vice Chairman, we don't have any callers. We have one speaker card.
All righty. Please call them up.
Latoya Robinson, please come forward. State your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Latoya Robinson. I am with Neighbors for Better Neighborhoods.
Could you please state your address, please, for the record?
313 Indira Mills Court, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, 27101.
Thank you.
No problem. So, greetings, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Board of Commissioners. My name is Latoya Robinson. I'm the Executive Director of Neighbors for Better Neighborhoods. It is a pleasure and honor to be here today to represent our organization. On behalf of the distinguished members of our Board of Directors and the entire team of Neighbors for Better Neighborhoods, I would like to take this moment to thank you for the opportunity. As a local nonprofit organization for over 30 years, NBN, or Neighbors for Better Neighborhoods, has been committed to working with Winston-Salem, Forsyth County, historically marginalized communities. Our work supports residents to address the underserved, under-resourced communities. And the mission of NBN, or Neighbors for Better Neighborhoods, is connecting people, strengthening voices, and leveraging resources, and continuing an effort to build better neighborhoods. NBN is looking forward to implementing the Cure Violence community-based violence prevention program to address violence throughout Winston-Salem, Forsyth County, to change individual and community attitudes and norms about gun violence. We appreciate being considered as a lead organization to implement the Cure Violence program, and we look forward to beginning this work. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All righty, Mr. County Manager, will you please continue with the remainder of our regular board meeting agenda? All right.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Good afternoon, board members, staff, and guests. We do have some business items for consideration this afternoon. We have reviewed these in briefing sessions. Hopefully we've answered all your questions. We've got a few holes to fill in today, but we'll get to them. Item 5 is a resolution authorizing execution of the closing agreement between Forsyth County and the Commissioner of Internal Revenue Service to resolve a finding related to the 2010D qualified school construction bonds. You get an associated budget ordinance amendment that appropriates $61,906 to pay the resolution amount regarding the finding. This is really a settlement related to the accounting of a federal credit program related to fairly complicated bonds. They were issued taxably with an incentive to issue those, and then they'd be repaid by the federal government. And so you've heard a little bit about the background around there. It was a timing issue where we were in dispute with the IRS around how we interpreted the dates, and but we will resolve this matter moving forward with this.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Elamine.
Second.
Second by Chairman Plyler. In discussion, I just want to echo the county manager's comments about the IRS splitting hairs over an interpretation of transferred and paid by in a matter of a couple of days pretty amazing. Anyway, I hope the rest of the government is run that detailed. Anyway, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Yeah, this incident may explain, I know you all have observed that we've been super cautious with this ARPA money, and that's one of the reasons. So we do want to be in compliance. So, agenda item 6 is an amendment to the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget ordinance to appropriate INSPIRE grant funds from the Appalachian Regional Commission. This is a $50,000 grant. It funds an employer credentialing program that was made part and parcel by your commitment to a workforce development resource in our Community and Economic Development Department. So we thank you.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion approved by Chairman Plyler, second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item 7 is amendment to the 2020 Motor Vehicle and Mobile Equipment Replacement Capital Projects Ordinance that appropriates claims proceeds. This will appropriate $33,675. I did have a memo at your place. There was a question about what some of those losses have looked like, and so you have that information. I will say some of our public safety agencies are doing some enhanced training and trying to get these reduced, but we have had a spree of wrecked vehicles.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Chairman Plyler, second by Commissioner Linville. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
All right. Agenda item 8 is a resolution authorizing acceptance of a multi-year grant from the National Association of County and City Health Officials to support overdose prevention strategies. It's a $170,000 grant. You got an associated resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement between Forsyth County and Twin City Harm Reduction Collective that expands the harm reduction initiatives in Forsyth County. Then you got the associated budget ordinance amendment.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion approved by Chairman Plyler, second by Commissioner Elamine. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right, agenda item 9 is a resolution authorizing acceptance of an American Rescue Plan Act, an Environmental Health Funds grant from the Appalachian District Health Department awarded to Forsyth County Department of Public Health to support environmental health activities. You've got the associated budget ordinance amendment, which will appropriate $65,000. We're going to use to recruit, retain, or train personnel.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion approved by Chairman Plyler, second by Commissioner Elamine. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item 10 is a resolution ratifying and authorizing execution of an interlocal agreement between Forsyth County and Wilkes County to provide A1C screening for minority diabetes prevention program. We are the lead agency for Region 3 for this program, and this is essentially for lab services.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion approved by Chairman Plyler, second by Commissioner Elamine. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item 11 is a resolution authorizing execution of a software license and support agreement with Central Square Technologies LLC for its One Solution law enforcement information technology platform system and services. This will appropriate $49,336.32. It does include the provisions to continue the agreement, essentially a 5-year agreement for the full system, total, and that's $1,333,159.42. And it is the system that really drives all of those services, and now is on the same platform with the City of Winston-Salem.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion approved by Chairman Plyler, second by Commissioner Elamine. Any discussion? I do have one item I'd like to, on that issue, I know we discussed the timing on when we should bid this in the future, and I know this is a kind of out there project, and I know it's related to both our 911 transitions, et cetera. But I hope that does not get lost, that we can rebid this software issue and the maintenance. And I mean, this is a competitive world, and we need to be taking advantage of all that. And I realize it's a lot of systems involved in it, but I'm beginning to wonder about the legacy system, how long it can last. But anyway, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item 12 is a resolution authorizing execution of a service agreement with Motorola Solutions for the maintenance of the 800 megahertz communication system. This really bridges the gap between the current system and our old system. Amounts not to exceed $411,257.40.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Chairman Plyler,
Second.
Second by Commissioner Elamine. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item 13 is a resolution authorizing the execution of a lease agreement between Forsyth County and Wake Forest University Baptist Medical Center on behalf of its Best Health for Business for lease of county-owned property at 725 North Highland Avenue. It's a nominal lease for 1,116 square feet, and it is the service that employees can take advantage of around employee wellness. So,
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Commissioner McDaniel, second by Commissioner Chairman Plyler. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
you got two refund matters. I think you can take 14 and 15 together. Item 14 is a resolution approving refunds by the tax assessor and collector amount of $2,149.41. And then item 15 is a resolution approving refunds in the amount of $17,720.84 out of that North Carolina vehicle tax system.
Move approval of 14 and 15.
Second.
Approved by Chairman Plyler, second by Commissioner Lamine. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
We've got two added items. Item 16 is a resolution authorizing execution of an agreement with Neighbors for Better Neighborhoods for the implementation of the Cure Violence Winston-Salem Forsyth County using American Plan Recovery Act. So the amount's not to exceed $1,080,398, and there is revenue associated with this, with the city of Winston-Salem. There were questions about, mostly dealt around the recent news article around what was happening with violence. Chantel, do you want to introduce Rich Smith, and you can invite him up, and he'll share a little bit of that information.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Manager. So as the manager stated last week, I believe Commissioner Martin asked about the crime data that was reported in Winston-Salem Journal. So I've invited Rich Smith, who's the area consultant for our juvenile justice programs, here to come and address the data that's in that article and what they are seeing in the court system in regards to offenses held by youth in our community. So, Mr. Smith, if you'd like to come up to the podium.
Good afternoon. I am not here to comment on the Winston-Salem Police Department's data. That's their data. What I can do is talk about the youth that are coming to our juvenile court system. What we are seeing is a slight decrease in the number of youth coming in, but what we're seeing is an increase in the severity of those youth. When I was looking at some of the data that we'll be looking at in our Juvenile Crime Prevention Council in the upcoming months, when I'm looking at youth that are associated or youth with high needs or high risk of reoffending, Forsyth County is about 30%. State average is about 19%. When I'm looking at youth that are coming in that have moderate high needs or very high needs, Forsyth County youth, the youth that are coming into our system, are 43% meet that criteria versus 27% for the state. So the youth that are coming in are more severe. So I know that that doesn't seem consistent with the data that was presented in the Winston-Salem Journal from the police department. But the youth that are actually coming to juvenile court, our juvenile court counselors are doing a very good job of diverting those minor offenses away and keeping them out of the juvenile justice system. And those youth that are being approved for court are those with those really high needs. We're seeing, I think, for youth that were arrested that had prior weapons charges, either a weapon on them or a weapon, possession of a weapon, was 24%, and it was about 16% for the state. So we are seeing more significant needs. I'm happy to try to answer any questions. I'm not sure exactly if that's answered your questions about some of those.
Well, sort of, kind of.
Sort of, kind of, okay.
But the part that's the kind of,
yes, sir,
is that in that report that was in the journal, I don't know the data sources, and I'm sorry, I meant to say that, but I didn't. But it actually showed percentages by item of offense. Mm-hmm. So it actually included possession of weapons and shooting. I mean, down to all the murder, rape, outcomes like that. And it had a 5-year presentation over
Yes,
a
sir.
5-year period from 2017. And actually, I was a little shocked with the decline, kind of steady in the 5 years, and even in some of those numbers like possession of weapons and charges, and well, I'm sure these were convictions. So I hear what you're saying, but and I guess part of what I heard you say is that we're doing a good job with some diversion, tactics, moving things beyond, which is great. We're not getting into some serious parts, and so our numbers go down. So, but it's obviously more severe. And I guess as we compare, as you mentioned, to the state, I'm kind of curious. You didn't offer a comparison of actual total, whether I don't know if it's the total number declining. Is a percent of the population, do we have also fewer offenses than the others? I mean, that would help explain why we'd have a higher concentration of more serious items. I think that would be a part of it.
I know that from about 2011 to about 2021, what we're seeing is we've seen this continued decline all the way down to 2019. In 2019, we started to see an uptick. That's also when the state implemented the raise the age.
Yeah.
So we started working with our 16 and 17-year-olds. Instead of sending them on to adult system, we retained them in juvenile system. We anticipated that we'd see some more severe offenses, and we are indeed seeing those. I don't know if we still have, I will need to reference. That is an opinion from Rich Smith, a consultant, and not the Department of Public Safety. I'll just say that. I don't know if we've seen the full impact of raise the age yet because of the pandemic. There was a slowdown when we start really looking at the numbers that occurred during the height of the pandemic. Those numbers were really low. Our court systems weren't up and fully operational. Law enforcement, we saw a lot fewer offenses go in. We're starting to see some of those increases. But once again, that is Rich Smith's opinion, not the Department of Public Safety's opinion. I do know that if you would like information, I'd be happy to get the information from comparative counties. Look at some of the counties that, some more urban communities, and we can start looking at those numbers. They're pretty consistent. Winston-Salem, for the last 6 or 7 years, has had elevated gang association and gang involvement. They have. I think that's one reason why I would like to applaud y'all for considering the cure violence model. I think it's going to help address some of those issues. But once again, this is juvenile court information, and the cure violence model is really 16 to 24-year-olds. That's that target population.
And that was, Chantel responded to that last week and said, this is the data in the newspaper chart stopped at 17. And essentially, we have a lot of folks, beyond there that are committing offenses and so forth, and with the part of and we don't have those kind of numbers. But anyway, it's to evaluate all programs, and success, you got to have good numbers.
Yes, sir.
And that's a little worrisome issue sometimes. And you mentioned these classifications of severity kind of issues, and that doesn't sound like a very precise measurement. Some community may be given a different kind of rating to how severe certain involves or whatever. You mentioned sort of a scale there, and so that requires somebody had to make a judgment about what category to play. It's not a difficulty to decide what category a possession of a weapon is.
Okay.
We got that. But when you're talking about the categories of sort of some kind of severity scale, I'm not sure about that, of behaviors.
Okay.
Maybe I don't understand it, and I don't understand the criteria for which they're quote unquote labeled.
Okay. The system, the assessments that our juvenile court counselors use now, is called the Youth Assessment Screening Instrument. It's an evidence-based model out of Canada.
Okay.
It replaced a North Carolina assessment of risk and North Carolina assessment of needs. We've used those from about the early 2000s. I won't say when, but it was after the Juvenile Justice Reform Act of 1998. This document combines risk and needs together. It also looks at strengths in there. All of our court counselors across the state have been trained in this model. It's the pre-screener is about 30 is about 30 questions. The full screen is about 100 questions. What you're seeing now is information that Chantel requested. This is our some of our planning data that we'll be utilizing. Let's see, there we go. Thanks. I'll send you my glasses. This is the information, Dr. Martin, that I was referring to. We're starting to show some of those, show some of the information. We had 314 assessed juveniles come into juvenile court, and these were ones that were all approved for juvenile court. This is not all the youth that came in. We diverted about, statewide, it's about 16%. I'd have to go back and look at the numbers to see how many youth we diverted in Forsyth County. But this kind of shows you throughout the, this shows you the need, the risk level, risk of reoffending, the needs level for treatment options, and then where their strengths are. One of the concerns, when I'm just looking at this data, and I'll be talking with our council about, is that when we're looking at elevated risk of reoffending, we're looking at elevated needs over state numbers. When we start looking at strengths, where they are asked to measure, and it's a guided tool, when a court counselor is asking this question, it's 100 questions, and it's a lot of information they're asking the youth and the family. When they're asking that question is when that youth or parent answers a certain question, then another drop down. As soon as they check that box, a drop down box comes. And so we get to see there are additional follow-up questions. Now, I will agree that there is going to be some subjectivity to that. It's just the nature of assessments. But we have done a tremendous amount of training. I've been trained on it. We're going to continue to provide additional training for our court counselors, because anytime we're implementing a new model, and this only went into effect in December of 2020, I believe, it takes a while for everybody to understand how to use the document and to confirm that that data is accurate.
Could you slide the sheet? All I'm seeing is the strengths chart, and maybe I'm missing the wait a minute, maybe it's at the top. Maybe it was at the top and I couldn't see it. I saw all the strengths by ratings for Forsyth and the state.
Okay. Okay. The weapons, is that what you're talking about, Dr. Martin?
Well, no.
Okay.
You had a chart of strengths, and I assume the other one that you were referring to is that we're overrepresented from the state. I don't know what the title of it is, but
Yeah.
the chart you had there, strengths, shows that we're underrepresented on the strengths.
Yes, sir.
So we're obviously overrepresented on the problems and somewhere.
Absolutely. Yeah, and they don't have the strengths that we would like for them to have. That's why our Juvenile Crime Prevention Council is funding those programs to make sure we're providing those services. We have a lot of, I think I saw some elevations in bullying and assaultive behaviors. That's why we're funding programs like aggression replacement therapy, which is an evidence-based model to reduce anger. The PATS program was another program that was an anger program. We have a lot of programs that are addressing, we have 2 different funded programs that are addressing parent responsibility and trying to provide those parents additional skills so they can address a lot of those issues.
I'm getting the handle, I kind of got it, but Chantel, did you get the numbers? Because of great interest to me would be basically the 5 urban areas, Mecklenburg and Guilford, us, Durham, and Raleigh.
Okay.
And to see how we compare, I think we'd look a lot more similar in that case as compared to the entire state. I'm just trying to get a handle on how bad is our problem, and I think that's an important thing as we indicate spending millions of dollars on solutions. We need to know how bad we are.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Commissioner Martin, that we're going to be much similar with those urban communities. But I would say is those communities that you've mentioned, every one of those communities, I cannot speak with authority on Wake County, but I know that Mecklenburg, Durham, Guilford are all looking at cure violence as an intervention for that violence interruption. All those have those same elevations. I know, just glancing at the numbers, that the numbers in Mecklenburg County for gangs seem to be underreported. The numbers for Guilford County are less than in Forsyth County. Durham's about right up there with it. They have I think they have 6 different sites where they're working, or 2 different sites, 6 different locations in Durham. They've expanded into another community to try to reduce the violence interruption there. And I cannot speak with Wake. I don't remember a cure violence model being initiated.
Well, I'm
in
sure the
County.
Wake data will be an outlier in that group.
It typically, excuse me.
Yes.
Yes, sir, I would agree with that. It will probably be an outlier.
Well, yeah, I got it. But thanks for that. I'll be quiet. Other questions?
That's all right, you could go on, but because these are juveniles, are we allowed to map out where these juveniles live?
No, sir. Well, excuse me. That's a question that I'd have to ask our researchers. I do know that we are very conscious, because this is confidential information, that what we could look at offenses. I know that in the cure violence model, we went ahead and got information from the Winston-Salem Police Department. We're able to see what precinct had the most elevated violence, and that's where we focused in that one precinct.
So, Dudley, tell me if I'm right or wrong about this. We have map Forsyth that could identify where the crimes were committed, maybe not where the children live. I don't know what the law would be in that, but it'd be interesting to have that information, I think.
So we do have like some heat maps that we get from Winston-Salem PD as well as the Sheriff's Office. As Mr. Smith stated, that's how we knew which area to target with the Cure Violence program. So there is some data points. I do also want to mention, we are entering into a contract with UNCG Serve Center to do the evaluation of cure violence. So their whole focus right now is going to be making sure all of our base data is accurate, correct, that we are making sure that we are comparing the right data sets, and then moving forward, we can track the measures and outcomes from that data to see if there is improvement in various areas.
Is there some regulation or some law that won't allow us to increase patrols in those areas? Can we designate an area to be of high crime or high importance in reducing crime and have additional law enforcement in that location?
I believe, I could be corrected, but I believe Winston-Salem PD is already working on efforts to do that. They know where the highest crime is.
I thought that was part of this program.
And I thought that was part of Winston-Salem Police Department's job. They're just now coming up with this? Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Could I ask a question? Can I assume that the city has fully committed their 50% of the funding since the program starts today?
Oh, absolutely. They did that as part of their ARPA process as well. And we did an interlocal agreement that they also did, stating that they would reimburse us 50%. So that is confirmed. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to move to approve, Vice Chairman.
Excuse me?
I'd like to move to approve the agenda item. If you're ready.
Yeah. Rich, thank you very much for being here.
Yes,
We
thank
go
you
way
very
back. You've done a great job with all of our JCPC work, and appreciate your service.
Hard work.
Great, thanks. Yes, back to the resolution authorizing the execution of the agreement with Neighbors for Better Neighborhoods. A motion from
Commissioner McDaniel.
Commissioner
Second.
Daniel.
Second.
and Second from Commissioner Elamine. Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Point of privilege, please, Mr. Vice Chair.
Sure.
I was away over the weekend watching my grandson play football down in Raleigh, and got a call about a 6-year-old football game at Glen being interrupted because of the misbehavior of adults. One even hitting somebody with a hammer. So Glen is close to my heart, so I had to make some investigative reporting. It is so sad to see adults acting like 2-year-olds. And it's common, unfortunately, so we got to do a better job, adults. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, that was if you notice the school district has responded with
Yes,
revisit
the
their
whole-
agreement
exactly.
with
I
the
read about
league
that
over that.
too.
Oh, my. Okay.
All right, agenda item 17 is our last item. It's a resolution adjusting the compensation of the county tax assessor collector based on the closed session review of performance of our outstanding tax assessor, Mr. John Burgess.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wizenhunt, second by Chairman Plyler. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
And that is it for the regular meeting. Unless y'all have anything else, we do need about a 5 or 10 minute break just to switch systems over for the briefing.
Good.
Thank you.
Adjourn the meeting to reconvene in a briefing in 10 minutes.
Second.
Great.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.